we really want this experience to feel like you're hiring a full-time account manager into your agency. And to be able to do that, your clients need to see them as a full-time team member. It needs to be on your website, on our LinkedIn profile. And we also want to feel like we're a part of the team culture. Like I've been invited to weddings and things like that, like working inside of agencies, because we're so in the weeds. We're part of it. We're in the team meetings. We're just like a full-time team member, but we're fractional, and clients don't know that, but it just seems to work really, really well.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the High Level Spotlight Sessions, where we showcase awesome marketers doing awesome marketing. Today, I'm joined by Taylor McMaster. She's the founder of Dot & Company, which helps agencies with full-service client account management services. Taylor, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a huge fan, so I'm very excited to be here.
Awesome. So account management is something near and dear to my heart. I spent a lot of time doing it over the years, and it's definitely something that is challenging to hand off. And so I think a lot of our listeners, our community members who are watching, who are early in their agency journey are going to relate to this, right? Because in the beginning, we start out and we're kind of doing everything. We're managing the clients ourselves. We're doing the work ourselves. Then we probably start delegating, hiring some people to do some of the work, and we realize we have to hire some people to handle clients. And that can be very nerve-wracking because, of course, nobody is going to handle your clients the way that you are, because the company is yours and you obviously care for it more than anyone in the world. So that's a challenge. So talk to me about, well, first of all, how did you guys get into this? Are you yourself an expert in client management? How did this Dot & Co start?
Yeah, great question and such valid points, and we'll dig all into that. But yeah, I was running my own marketing agency. I, quit my corporate job, started an agency because that's what we all do, right? And I had no idea what I was doing. And I quickly realized that I didn't want to be the person on the back end. So I'm not as strong on the analytical side. I'm more of a relationship person. I love talking to clients. I love meetings. I love project management. And so I was, kind of struggling with what I was going to do with my agency. And I was going to this agency accelerator event, which is hilarious because I did not want to grow an agency. And I kind of went to this event and said to all these people, I was like, I don't really want to grow an agency. I just want to talk to clients and, contract myself out and work with agencies, and kind of that would fill up my cup. And all these agency owners were like, I don't know why you'd want to do that. That's what we're all trying to get out of. We don't want to do account management either, but I'll hire you. And so that's when I kind of realized that there was obviously a need for really good account managers for small to even large agencies. But for a lot of these agency owners who were starting out, they didn't necessarily need somebody in that full-time role, but they needed someone really good in a fractional amount of time. And so that's kind of how I started. I just kind of started doing it myself. It was kind of my zone of genius. So I love processes and organizing things and talking to clients. And so it just kind of came naturally to me. And I was also a marketer. So kind of bridging both those together, I could really step in and take over for the agency owner so that they could quickly get out of the day-to-day seat, right? Because they didn't have to teach me all the things about marketing. And so I kind of had all these people reaching out to me. They needed help. They needed account managers. And I had to decide, like, am I just going to do this myself or am I going to grow a team? And so went the team route. We now are around 30 people and growing, and it's all we do. So since day one, we've only done account management. It's all we do. It's all we talk about. It's all we study, everything like that. And so we work inside of agencies now as account managers in a fractional basis, and we love it. It's so much fun.
That is crazy. I mean, I feel like you are definitely a unique breed because most people are very afraid to speak with clients. And the idea of speaking to someone else's clients makes me anxious just thinking of it, because I feel like, if the work that agency isn't doing is fantastic, or if, let's say, it's a down month and the ads aren't performing as well as they were last month, like, these are challenging conversations to have. So how are you guys so confident just hopping into someone's agency to be on the front lines of that?
Yeah. And you're right. Like there's good times and there's bad times. And we're at the front, we're the ones who are talking to clients. So the good thing about what we do is we of course train our team to be able to have those difficult conversations and how to have them in a really strategic way that makes the client feel like, we have your back and that here's the plan and here's what we're doing to fix it and all those things. But we also have each other at Dot. So we're all account managers. So we all see what's going on. We feel things. We have bad conversations, good days, bad days. So we can kind of share those things together and realize that this is normal life as an account manager. And here's how you can do a really good job to manage it. So it's, of course, training our team to be really, really amazing account managers, but also having the support on the inside, which is crucial, we find.
Totally. So let's say I'm listening to this, I'm like, this is fantastic. This is exactly what I need. I can't afford a full-time account manager, but I need someone to help me with the clients and keep them off my back so that I can, we can get the work done on time. Realistically, what does that look like? How quickly can somebody get up and running as, taking my accounts?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that we take care of, so we're only hiring account managers. So we have a team dedicated just to hiring. So it's no easier for us than it is for anyone else to find these amazing people out there. But it's looking for all these different things that go into a really good hire. So for example, we have like 500-600 applications a month, and we might hire one or two. And the reason is we're looking for all these very fine details in an account manager. It's not like a technical role, right? So if you're running an agency, you're hiring, let's say a media buyer for Facebook ads. That's a very technical role that you are looking for specific skills. But an account manager, they have to be a marketer. They have to have a bubbly personality, but also be very professional. They have to have really strong written communication skills, but also video skills, but also they have to be a little bit analytical enough to report results to clients and think strategically. They also have to be a project manager. They have to follow details and processes. And there's so many things that we're looking for. So we kind of do all that heavy lifting to find those amazing people. So by the time that we're actually coming into an agency, these people are trained and vetted, and they're kind of at this point where you don't have to teach them all these things, like anything about marketing or communications or anything. The biggest learning curve, which I think is kind of what you're looking for, is just of the agency, right? So like if you're hiring a new hire, you need to teach them who are your clients, who to go to for what project management software are we using, what are the processes you have in place. That chunk of time generally takes about a month for somebody to learn, but you don't have to teach us all the other stuff. So it's a pretty quick learning curve compared to, say, bringing just anyone in. So we see anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks to have everything kind of handed over to your account manager. But again, there's a learning curve. So you do have to be a little bit patient with your account managers to train them. But yeah, that's kind of the timeline that we do see for somebody to fully be up to speed inside the agency.
And do you guys, I feel like I have a million questions for you. Do you guys turn agencies away? Like if I'm you, I'm envisioning like, okay, show me what KPIs you contractually agreed to communicate with your clients around. And if that's not in place, are you like, hey, you guys aren't structured enough for us to come in and help you?
Sometimes, yeah, like especially really young agencies who just are starting, if they don't have kind of that client base and they don't have the team to support the account manager, it's not really the best environment for one of our account managers. So a big role that my team and I play are vetting agencies to make sure that we're a good fit on both sides. So sometimes an agency might be like, almost looking for what they think is an account manager, but it's not. So sometimes they need more of like an assistant. And that's not really what we want to be doing. Our team are high level marketers. So we really want to be talking strategy. We want to be building these big relationships. We don't really want to be doing just the assistant role. So sometimes that's when we'll turn people away. Or if they're looking for more of like a VA, that's not what we do. We're more, like I said, high level. So a big part is just really understanding what the agency looks like right now, what the structure looks like, what are some of the pain points that they're facing. Maybe they already have a few account managers and they just need more people. Or sometimes it's the agency owner who's doing all that account management. So those pain points look a lot different. But yeah, it's just kind of digging into like what the setup looks like, what they expect out of the account manager, and how and if we can kind of come in and make a difference.
And how do you handle, I feel like as you grow as an agency, there's a lot of time spent thinking about how often we should be communicating with our clients, right? Like, is it standing weekly call, a bi-weekly call? Can we get away with once a month? Do we let clients just call us whenever they want? How do you guys handle that? And do you like price around that? What are your thoughts as far as cadence?
Yeah. So cadence depends on the client. And I know that's such a broad answer, but it kind of depends on the scope. So if you're doing a massive project with a client, you're probably going to want to have like more frequent updates, like weekly client meetings and daily status reports, things like that. Versus if you have been working with a client for months and you're running their e-commerce ads and everything's ticking and everything looks good, maybe they don't want a meeting. Maybe they just want like a really in-depth report with strategy and things like that sent to them. So it kind of comes down to the scope and who the client is, of course, because there's every kind of client you can imagine out there and they have different needs. But our team is trained to kind of make sure that we're supporting the client and making sure that we're doing a really good job to keep them happy. And if that can avoid getting the agency owner in a lot of those meetings, then that's amazing. But again, at the end of the day, we want to be efficient and use our team's time wisely. How we price is not per client or per client meeting. We're just looking at how much really how much of an account manager does an agency need? Because some agencies need like a part-time account manager, 20 hours a week, which we can help with, or some only need 10 hours a week. So we can kind of work with the agency to figure out how much of us they need. And then within that chunk of time, maybe it's a bunch of meetings and that's cool. Or maybe it's no meetings at all. And that's great too. It's just kind of, we structure ourselves in the agency depending on how the clients are needing us.
Got it. And then you would just say, hey, your client, whatever, Susan's med spa calls me every day. Like, she's eating up all of your hours. Do you guys want to expand or go from there?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Are they at the point, your team members, where they can expand revenue? I feel like a great account manager is always looking for opportunities to have strategic conversations that lead into more services.
Yeah.
Is that realistic?
Yeah, that's a great question. The way that I explain it is, like we are there to be, the advocate for the client, but also the advocate for the agency. So obviously, if something's going to make the client make more money or get a better result, we're going to be talking about it no matter what. But we're not responsible for it in the sense where we're going to make commissions or we have like KPIs around it within the agency. But what I like to say is, of course, we're going to be talking up things, but kind of like passing it off to whoever that salesperson is, or maybe it's the agency owner to chat about pricing, or we would kind of get that pricing from the agency owner and tell the client. But again, at the end of the day, we want that best experience for the client. So that's obviously going to be increasing services or ad spend or whatever we can to get them better results.
And is the engagement like white label? Are you guys getting email addresses from your client and communicating from? Yeah.
Yep, fully white labeled. So we really want this experience to feel like you're hiring a full-time account manager into your agency. And to be able to do that, your clients need to see them as a full-time team member. It needs to be on your website, on our LinkedIn profile. And we also want to feel like we're a part of the team culture. Like I've been invited to weddings and things like that, like working inside of agencies, because we're so in the weeds. We're part of it. We're in the team meetings. We're just like a full-time team member, but we're fractional, and clients don't know that, but it just seems to work really, really well.
That's cool. What advice, so you guys have done clearly a ton of account management. And if I'm an account manager listening to this, I do feel like I need to take the opportunity to ask you for advice or common mistakes or tricks or tips that you could pass on to folks who are listening, who are doing account management, who want to improve.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so many things. But firstly, I would say that you need to always remember that you're working with a human on the other end. And your job is to be very professional and polished and kind of representing the agency at all times. And one of the biggest things that we see in our agency world is that clients have been burned in the past, right? They've worked with an agency and haven't had a good experience or whatever that looks like. And the biggest impact that you can make without, even needing results from campaigns or anything is being extremely proactive in your communication. So that would be my tip. We call it the daily pulse, and it's a practice that an account manager can do to update your clients every day. And I know you might think like, I don't have anything to say to them every day. And as the relationship grows, it doesn't have to be every day, but it's being proactive and communicating with them so that they feel like they're your only client. And that's the feeling that we want every single client to have. So maybe it's an update. Hey, Susie, here's where we're at with the project. Here's the next steps, XYZ. Or, hey, Susie, we haven't received the videos back from the editor yet, but I've just got an update from him. They're expected tomorrow morning. I'll have them over to you as soon as possible. I'm on it. Just providing as many updates frequently as you can to ensure that clients feel taken care of. Like, you're there to hold their hand. So the more proactive you can be, the better.
So over communicate.
In
short.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
So I have to ask you, because I know there are a ton of people watching this right now that are like, this sounds awesome. Ask her how much. Ask her how much. And I don't want you to get flooded with a bunch of folks who might not qualify for what you guys offer. How do you price? Is it different per client? Is it a flat rate? How does it work?
So we have flat rates depending on number of hours. So essentially, if you're in the position to hire somebody basically, on a almost full-time salary, then that would be when you'd engage us. What we kind of look at is you're essentially hiring somebody on like either 10, 15, or 20 hours a week. So that's kind of what you want to think about. If you have around 5 hours a week of meetings, then you should have an account manager. So that's kind of the time to reach out to us. But yeah, we kind of chat with agencies to figure out how much time they need, where they're like, how quickly they're scaling, how many clients they have. And then we can kind of figure out the best amount of time that they're going to need from an account manager on an ongoing basis. But I would say, like, for those agencies who are in growth mode, that's when it is time to reach out to us or, hire an account manager, because I look at it as a ROI, right? Like, it's not necessarily a cost center, it's a profit center. And that's what we want it to be. We want this account manager to be adding so much value, giving your time back, growing your client accounts, retaining your clients. And once you're kind of in a position that makes sense, then it's definitely a no-brainer.
I mean, I'm sort of blown away. I mean, I've spoken with hundreds of folks on this show so far, lots of whom have all sorts of agency supporting services, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone doing this. I've spoken with people that train account managers and then kind of send them out into the wild. But this is really interesting. I mean, every agency owner gets to this point where you're like, if I just had someone to handle these clients, take them off my back, I could get this other stuff done and we could grow. And a lot of the times you're not ready to hire someone full-time yet. So you're kind of stuck, and you're like, well, how can I grow to the point where I can afford a full-time person if I can't free up some of my time to get us to that next level of revenue? So I think it makes a ton of sense. And the other thing from my personal experience is it's so hard to find good account managers. So if you guys are doing that hard work, it sounds like you're sifting through hundreds of resumes a month.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard. Like, it's no easier for us. We just have the process in place.
It's very, very difficult. But when you find them, it is a game changer. I mean,
it is.
You get so much of your time back, and it frees you up to focus on other areas of the business. And I would imagine you guys grow. Like, it must be cool for you guys to see agencies grow, because you free them up, and then, like, I would assume there's an immediate growth phase very shortly after.
Definitely. Yes. And that is so rewarding. And even, at Dot & Company, my first hire was an account manager. It's funny because we're an account management agency, but my first account manager that I hired manages all of our accounts. So I get to spend my time chatting with people like you, or doing marketing or sales. And, my business, it would just still be me if I didn't have that in place. And we see it so often. Like, agencies will bring us in and they hire us as an account manager. And then 2 months later, they're like, I need more account managers. Like, we're growing really quickly. Can you give us more. And that's when we were like, yes, like we prioritize our current clients because we want them to grow. We don't want them to have to worry about, additional support and trying to find account managers. This is what we do. So we're going to give them more support. So we see that a lot, which is like a great sign that people are growing and scaling and they're not in the weeds, which is the goal.
Do you ever have to help agencies? I feel like one challenge that we faced for a while was trying to figure out the balance of how many accounts should we expect one account manager to be able to manage. And I know that's a tough question because it's different for every agency, but do you guys ever kind of teach or coach an agency of like, hey guys, the way that you're currently doing it is not really scalable, or how do you guys approach that?
Yeah, so you're right. It's so different for every agency. Like I've worked in agencies where I've had 30 clients and I worked 15 hours a week because there was like no client meetings, right? And then we have other agencies that they're 3 clients, but they're 15 hours a week because their scope is huge. They're massive coaching clients. They take a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So when we see agencies that have like low number of clients, but need a lot of time, there's most likely way too many meetings, whether it's internal meetings that are unnecessary or like client facing meetings that are like maybe could be an email. So we kind of look at that. And then we look at how much administrative time the team is doing. So, if they're outsourcing a lot of their admin to us, we might say, okay, well, maybe we'll bring somebody in, into your agency to help with some of these things. And then the client manager can take on 5 more clients instead of, doing these like administrative tasks. So we kind of look at it that way. But the biggest thing is meetings, honestly. Like when I'm chatting with agency owners and they ask that question, they're like, I can only imagine an account manager working 3 clients. Well, you don't need daily meetings with your clients, or you don't need, daily meetings with your team. Mm-hmm. So that's going to suck up resources all the time. So we kind of look at those things when chatting with agency owners. But also it's pretty evident when they bring us in to manage clients and, we might be maxing out at 15 hours on 15 clients or something like that. And they might say, okay, that's like a really good base. And like, now I know how many clients each account manager can handle. So it's kind of a good measuring stick as well.
Yeah, you guys can help them figure it out. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And what about industries? Are you guys comfortable in all industries, or are there some that you don't work with, or services that you don't support?
Yeah. When we started, it was mainly just Facebook advertising agencies, but now we've really kind of grown. So our niche is specifically marketing agencies. So that's, has to be a marketing agency, but we work with kind of everything under the sun now. We work
SEO,
with
paid ads.
Yeah, SEO, copywriting, graphic design, web development, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, TikTok. We see it all now. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Taylor, where should people go if they're interested? Because I assume there are a lot of folks listening right now who are very interested. So where should they go to learn more?
Yeah, so we're over at dotandcompany.co. So DOT and company.co. We also have a podcast that you can learn lots of good stuff on. It's called the Happy Clients Podcast. And yeah, definitely come hang out with us. We have lots of good stuff on our website as well to just learn more about what we're up to, download some of our SOPs and things like that. And then of course, any questions, just reach out to us via our website.
Awesome. So that's dot and company and spelled out .co. Taylor, thank you again so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you in the next one.